Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Chachi and I make hair, beauty, and lifestyle videos. I'm assuming if you click this video you have no clue what makeup brushes to use, so I'm going to help you with that. The first thing that I like to do when doing my makeup is prime my face, and the best tool to prime my face are my fingers. So I literally just put the product on my fingertips and then I rub it into my skin, and you can literally see how this Smashbox photo finish is like blurring out my pores. It's great. Next, I am going to fill in my eyebrows, but I'm not really going into detail about this on camera. One, because I don't even like to fill in my eyebrows in real life anymore. It's just not my thing anymore. But I know there are some people who still like to do it, so I'm going to do it and show you which brushes you need to clean it up. And secondly, I do have a detailed eyebrow tutorial already on my channel if you would like to see that. But when you're cleaning up your eyebrows, my favorite brush to use is this flat top E43 concealer brush from MORPHE. All my products are going to be in the description box, by the way, if I have a name for them. I love this brush because it's so thin and it helps you really get your eyebrows so precise, so crisp. If you are like a do your eyebrows kind of girl, you are literally going to love this brush. And of course, after we drag the concealer down to the rest of our eyelids, I like to use a very dense brush like this one. It's a small dense brush. It doesn't have a name, and it's just so dense that it's gonna keep that concealer in the area that I put it. It's not just so fluffy that it's gonna like pick up the product and not keep it full coverage, which is what I want. So you want to use a brush like that in order to blend that out. Another option for you to clean up your eyebrows with is a flat rounded concealer brush. This one also doesn't have a name. It probably did once upon a time, but it's old, so I probably scratched it off. But you can use a brush like this on the bottom if you prefer, or you can use it for what I prefer it for, which is to clean up the top of my eyebrows. That roundness just makes it perfect for the top because I don't like the top of my eyebrows sharp. And I blend that out with that same dense brush that I showed you. And I did my other eyebrow off camera, so now we're going to move on to foundation. I like to use the Maybelline Matte and Poreless foundation, and my favorite brush is this Real Techniques INSTAPOP cheek brush. You could get into the nooks and crannies of your face with this brush because of how angled and how flat and dense it is. And you can also use a beauty sponge or a beauty blender to apply foundation. Now on one half of my face I'm going to apply the foundation with my brush, and on the other half I will use the beauty sponge. But you will come to see that using brushes on your face as opposed to a sponge will make your makeup look so much more full coverage. And if full coverage is your look, you need to go with brushes. If not, you can always just pack on more product with the sponge, but using the brush will help you get that full coverage look so much easier. So I basically use this brush to pat my foundation onto my skin, and I don't put too much on my forehead. But this is my face with foundation and the other half without. So now I'm going to use my beauty sponge on the other half of my face, and immediately you can already see that it's giving you more of a sheer coverage. You can of course get a full coverage look with the sponge, but you would have to apply more foundation than what you applied using a brush. So it really just depends on your look. Like, what kind of girl are you? Do you like full coverage, or do you have good skin and you're like, I don't mind a little sheer coverage? I've probably been doing my makeup for like 9-10 years now, and those are my favorite options. Either I use a sponge or I use a brush to apply my foundation. Those two specifically, a beauty blender or the INSTAPOP cheek brush. And I did go ahead and just use my brush on my entire face just so that it can like kind of look the same. Because I'm going to do a full face of makeup. So to apply concealer, my first option in order to blend out your concealer is a small tapered brush like this, and this is from e.l.f. And of course, your second option to blending out your concealer would be using a beauty sponge. So I like to apply my concealer underneath my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, the center of my forehead, and on my chin. I do have a very detailed makeup tutorial that I will link up here, because I'm more so going in detail about brushes than I am technique of actually like how to do your makeup. So I definitely recommend you watch both of these videos to get a better understanding on how you would do your own face. But again, just patting this brush on top of my concealer. I love how it looks because it really does give me a good color payoff of the products that I'm using. I don't have to use too much product in order for you to see it, so it ends up being full coverage. And I don't know, I just really like the look. But then again, we have two options. So as soon as I'm done wrapping up with this brush, I'm gonna go to using my sponge on the other side so you guys can see the difference. A sponge will most likely make your makeup look most natural, and it will give you more of a lighter coverage because it is a sponge. Remember, a sponge will soak up product as opposed to a brush. Well, brush is not going to soak up your product, it's just going to blend it, whereas a sponge is doing both. It's blending it out and it's soaking up product at the same time, which is why you kind of get like a different type of coverage with it. But I do like to turn the sponge around and use the excess foundation to blend out the perimeter on the sponge side, and I use my brush on the brush side to blend out the perimeter of my concealer. That is a technique that I talk about in my very detailed makeup tutorial. Again, you should check that out. Throughout this process, I thought it would be helpful to show you guys to compare one side to the other. As you can see, my makeup, my brush side looks so much more like of a pop than my beauty blender side, which looks so much more diffused and natural. But if you are a cream bronzer or a cream contour kind of girl, here are your options for blending them out. First of all, I am using Black Opal foundation stick in the color Amber, I believe, but it will be in the description box. And I put that on my jawline, down the sides of my nose, and of course on my forehead. And you have two options of how you blend it out: your beauty sponge or beauty blender, or you can use this Real Techniques Face Expert brush, which is basically a domed dense brush. It is dense, which means like it's not so fluffy, which will keep the product exactly where it is, and it'll keep the product, how can I explain, and like instead of saying full coverage, it'll keep the product like, it won't diffuse the product so much as it would if you were using a fluffier brush or if you were using a face sponge. So I'm basically patting this product and flicking it upwards because I want it to stay up above my jawline. And I'm going to use this brush on half of my face, as you already know, and I'm going to use my sponge on the other half of my face. I did want to blend this side of my face to its entirety, so I'm going to blend half of my nose out with this eye shader brush. It is dense, so it's not like a fluffy blending brush. It's a dense eye shader brush. It's kind of thin, and that'll just help you get this really small line of bronzer or contour on your nose instead of using that big Face Expert brush that I just used on my cheekbones and on my forehead. Now we're going to get into blending the other side, and we're going to use a beauty sponge. The same thing that I do with the brush as far as flicking it upwards and tapping it upwards is the same thing that I'm doing with the beauty sponge. It's just two different tools that you can use basically to do the same thing. So when I finished blending out my contour slash bronzer, I found a clean spot on my beauty sponge, and I blended out the bronzer on my nose. I'm just literally just tapping up and down my nose until I feel like that line was diffused enough. And now I'm gonna blush my face. The girls already know I'm obsessed with blush from just giving you guys a quick look at the brush side versus the sponge side. But yeah, I'm obsessed with blush. I just literally pack it on like with no regard of if I'm using too much or not, because I'm going to end up using some more anyway. So the first brush that I use to blend out is basically a domed fluffy powder brush. Of course, you can use this for what I'm about to use it for, which is blending out my blush. It'll just make it look so diffused, so blended. It's not gonna look so stiff and so like in one spot, because this is a fluffy brush and I want that to look really natural, like I just have rosy cheeks naturally. And then I find a clean spot on my beauty sponge and I do the same thing on the other side. So pretty much you can use your beauty sponge for almost every step of your makeup until you get to like setting your face later with powder. But pretty much if you want to get away with using one tool to do your makeup or like 5 different tools to do your makeup, the beauty sponge could do a majority of it, as you can see. So here I go again, like, you know, just using as much blush as possible, this time dipping my brush right on top of the cream blush stick and then popping it on my cheeks and on my forehead, in between my concealer and in between my contour. And then I go ahead and I stab my beauty sponge with this, you know, this blush stick, and I do the same thing to the other side, which means you can do the same thing too, boo. I can't believe once upon a time I didn't even like blush. Like, I would say what the girls say now, like, oh no, it gives grandma. It does not give grandma. Like, people who say it gives grandma are so lost in the world, and I hope they find salvation very soon. But I'm just blending out my concealer because I didn't want the blush to overpower the concealer, so I'm just making sure the concealer is still, you know, concealing or whatever. But how are you guys liking this video so far? Like this video if you are learning something. Thank you. So next I'm going to be setting my concealer using my Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'm taking the same angled brush which I used to blend out my concealer on this left side of my face. It was my right, y'all left, and I'm literally just going to pack it onto my concealer. I'm pressing it into the concealer to make sure that it's really set and that it doesn't start creasing on me. Even though if you do get like a little crease throughout the day, that is completely normal. It is not the end of the world. People crease. You have skin, like you still have skin in real life under all of this makeup, so it doesn't even really matter. So I'm using this beauty sponge on the other side to do the same thing. I'm packing it on underneath my eyes, down the center of my nose, my forehead, even on top of my eyebrows, as well as my chin. So to set the rest of my face with a pressed powder, I'm using a powder brush. This powder brush, as you can see, is kind of thin. It's not like a big powder brush. I prefer these small powder brushes to press powder into my skin because they really get in the small angles of your face, and you could just get it right next to your nose so you don't get greasy. This is the powder brush that I put in my purse when I go out, just so I can make sure that I don't get shiny throughout the night. But this is the only option that I'll recommend for setting your powder. Use a small powder brush like this and set everywhere. Do not forget. So next we're going to set the cream contour that we had put on, or the cream bronzer, whatever it is. You could skip the cream completely and just skip to this step and use a angled contour brush, and this is fluffy. As you saw, it's not dense at all, which is going to give you like an airbrush to look. It's not going to look so prominent, and I'm just using that on half of my face, right there on my cheekbones and on my forehead. Your other option of setting your contour is just to use another powder brush. It does not have to be angled in order for you to use it as your contour. It just has to be fluffy like this and not so big, because I need to get a new powder because that's ridiculous, because you are putting it only on your cheekbones. You don't want to use a huge brush to do this. Next thing you know, you got this dark powder underneath your eyes and on your jaw or and under your cheekbones, which is not where you're trying to put it. So as long as it is a small fluffy powder brush like this, it does not matter if it's angled or if it is not angled. So now we're going to go in with some powder blush, and we're going to use the same type of brush to put this on. A fluffy powder or a fluffy blush brush. So long as I be stumbling over my words so bad in these videos, I don't even try to redo it, but so long as it is small enough to get on the top of your cheekbones and the areas where you want it. This brush just can't be so big that it's smearing your blush everywhere. I know we love blush, but it does not go everywhere. To set your nose contour, you could use a small tapered blending brush like this. Because it's tapered, it's really going to help you stay on the sides of your nose, and it's small enough to not, you know, get into the highlight down the center of your nose. It's just going to stay on the sides, and it's fluffy enough to really make this not look so harsh, but blended and diffused and more like a shadow, which is what you're going for when you are contouring your nose. To dust the remaining powder off of my face, I'm just using my powder brush, the Morphe M105, the same one that I said I keep in my purse to make sure I don't get shiny throughout my night or my day, whatever. And this step is optional. This is like a dew balm. It makes you look dewy. It makes you look like you're glistening. And I like to use this Real Techniques setting brush in order to basically sweep this brush over the product and then lightly sweep this product on my face. The same spot that if you wear highlighter, the same spot that you would put your highlighter, so the highest parts of your cheekbones, underneath your eyebrows, down your nose, your cupid's bow, wherever you put your highlighter is where I put this product. Like, look at it. It just makes you like glow, but it doesn't give you the highlighter vibe. Like when I wear this, people be like, you don't got on highlighter, right? Like, that's just your skin doing that. Like, yeah, girl, that's just my skin doing that. I just look like I'm glowing from within. I'm glistening. I look like a glazed donut from Krispy Kreme when the hot light on. I look like Christmas time. I'm just glowing. I just glow. I don't know how else to say it. I just glow when I have this product on. Like, that's what it does. I put this on the highest parts of my cheekbones. I put it above my eyebrows. And if I overdo it, I just take the excess foundation on my brush and I just tap it right onto that product to diffuse it a little bit. And then I keep going because I never have enough of this product. I really am obsessed, and my camera died. That is so rude. But I'm just going to pick up where I left off and packing this product on. But you have to do it lightly because sometimes it could look like this product is going to start smearing you. So you just have to keep it light. And yeah, a little razzle dazzle for the girls. And I told you I put in between my eyebrows, the tip of my nose, the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow. Everywhere you put highlighter on, I put this product in that area. And yeah, you see her. So next I'm gonna take actual pressed highlighter because I don't know, because I'm Chachiana and that is what she does. And I'm gonna put this product over my last product. You have two brush options. You can use a highlighter brush like this, which has no name. It is very fluffy, so it's not gonna make your highlighter look like it's not moving, like it looks harsh. It's not going to make it look like that. It's going to make it look soft and just leave a trail of glow. Or you can use a strobing fan brush like this one in order to put on your highlighter, and I will show you how I use both of them. So with this highlighter brush, I'm literally just using circular motions right over that last dew balm product that I placed on my face, and it just gives you like an extra pop, an extra razzle dazzle, like an extra sprinkles on top type of look. And I'm putting this on half of my face just so you guys can see the difference between using this brush and using a fan brush, which is not much of a difference. But here I'm just strobing this fan on top of that product, highest parts of my cheekbones. And yeah, you have options when you're doing this, and some people even use their fingers, but I would recommend just using a brush. And you're pretty much done with your makeup products. I'm just using my powder brush to go over that one more time to make sure that it looks extra, but it don't look like I'm trying too hard. Yeah. My favorite setting powder is the MAC Fix Plus, and I just spray that all over my face, a generous amount. And then I take my beauty sponge and I lightly tap or press that product into my skin so my skin can like soak it up and I can look like skin again and not like powder and not like products. And I'm just popping a quick lip on. I'll leave all the names in my description box. Popping on some quick mascara. Make sure you get the very inner corner of your lashes because I'm gonna notice if you don't. And my last step is to use Got To Be on top of a clean spoolie, and I just basically make sure that my eyebrows are in place. there you have it, my beginner brats. These are the makeup brushes I recommend you use when you're first starting out to do your makeup to accomplish a flawless finish. Honorable mention to my wig is from my hairline. I'll leave a discount code in my description box for y'all. But I'm so happy, guys. The brat gang is growing. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. Thank y'all so much. I'm so happy. And yeah, I'm excited. And I hope you guys really liked this video and really understood which brushes you should be using. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.